My beloved child, there are times when my word comes to you not like a gentle breeze, but like thunder that shakes the whole inner land of your soul. But understand this deeply. My severity is not born from anger that desires to cast you away, but from a love that refuses to stand still when it sees you walking toward danger. I do not raise my voice to crush your soul, but to awaken you before you fall asleep in a place that could cause you to lose your way. As it is written, those whom I love, I rebuke and discipline. So be earnest and repent in Revelation 3:19. Hear in that verse not the voice of a distant judge, but the heartbeat of a father who does not want to lose you. When my word touches the places you have long avoided, do not quickly think that I am against you. In truth, I am against what is wounding you, standing between you and the abyss, using my own light to keep darkness from becoming the home of your soul. At times, you may think peace means being left alone, being allowed to live according to your own will with no one reminding you, no one calling your name, no one disturbing your hidden choices. But my child, silence in the face of danger is not love. If a father saw his little child stepping into the road while cars were rushing toward them and simply stood there smiling, that silence would not be gentleness, but abandonnement. I will never abandon you in that way. Therefore, when your conscience aches, when a word in Scripture suddenly becomes sharp, when a circumstance causes you to stop and examine your heart, know that I am drawing near. The Word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword. As Hebrews 4:12 says, not to make you bleed in despair, but to cut away the things that are quietly poisoning the life within you. I heal through light, and sometimes that light must first reveal the wound. Do you remember the story of Balaam? He rode his donkey along a road that seemed ordinary, but before him stood my angel, blocking the way, with a sword in his hand. The donkey saw what he could not see, so it turned aside from the path, pressed against the wall, and then lay down. But Balaam became angry because he thought he was being hindered without reason. Yet when his eyes were opened, he understood that the obstruction itself was mercy. For if he had continued rushing forward in blindness, disaster would have met him. My child, there are times when I also block your steps in this way. There are doors that close not because I hate you, but because behind them lies something that would pull you far from me. There are delays not meant to hurt you, but to save you from a path you are not yet discerning enough to recognize. When I place a warning sign along your way, do not be quick to complain. It may be the very angel of mercy standing between you and what you cannot see. I know you have often grown weary of being corrected. I know there are moments when you simply want to be left in peace, to hide your heart in some small corner and not have to face what needs to change. But my beloved child, I do not call you out of a false refuge to leave you exposed. I call you out so I may lead you into true freedom. What you call safety is sometimes only a familiar cage. What you call peace is sometimes only the numbness of a soul that has grown used to enduring darkness for too long. I did not create you to live small beneath invisible chains, but to walk in abundant life. You have heard the words my Son spoke, I have come that they may have life, and have it abundantly in John 10:10. Therefore, every warning I send serves that life, not to take joy from you, but to restore to you the joy that sin has stolen. Therefore, when I touch the fear within you, I do not do so to make you shrink back, but to awaken you. When I allow you to feel uneasy about a wrong choice, it is because the Holy Spirit is guarding your purity. When I no longer allow you to feel comfortable in what once felt familiar, it may be a sign that grace is preparing to lead you into a new season. As Isaiah 30:21 declares, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you, saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." I am still guiding you step by step. Even when that guidance comes in the form of a solemn warning, do not seek my voice only in sweet words of comfort. Learn to recognize me also in the moments when I call you to turn back. For there too is love. There too is faithfulness. There too is my hand keeping you from drifting farther away. Open your heart, my beloved, and allow me to shine my light into the rooms you have kept locked away. I do not enter as an intruder, but as the healer. I do not call out your faults to shame you, but so that they will no longer rule over you in silence. You may pray to me as David once prayed, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts," in Psalm 139:23. For the one who dares to invite me to search them will not be crushed by me, but led into the everlasting way. I do not despise a broken heart. I do not turn my face away from the one who trembles before the truth. It is in the moment you stop resisting and allow me to speak into the deepest places within you that grace begins to do its beautiful work. Remember this, my holy severity does not stand against my mercy. It is another expression of that mercy. A gardener who loves his garden will not allow weeds to grow and choke the flowers. A shepherd who loves his flock will not let a sheep wander away without calling it back. A father who loves his child will not allow them to drink poison simply because they enjoy the sweetness on the rim of the cup. I love you with a love gentle enough to hold you when you weep, and also strong enough to stop you when you are harming yourself. Therefore, do not misunderstand my call. Behind every warning is a banquet waiting for you, a brighter path opening before you, an arm still stretched wide in welcome. Return not because of terror, but because you have realized that my love is still calling your name. And when you return, you will find that I am not standing there with the cold face of condemnation, but with the heart of a father who has waited for you for a long time, ready to clothe you in new garments, place a new song within you, and lead you forward in light that never fades. My beloved child, guard your heart as a watchman guards the gates of a city in the depths of night. For not every danger approaches with a frightening appearance. Some things that wound your soul come very softly, very quietly, disguised as the ordinary rhythms of daily life. It may begin with a small justification, a moment of laziness in prayer, a bitter feeling you refuse to bring before me, or a thought that seems harmless yet continues to be nurtured within your heart. Therefore, I speak to you as Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Do not take lightly the small doors within your soul. A house does not need its roof to collapse at once in order to become dangerous. It only takes silent cracks, spreading little by little. Only takes the foundation slowly soaked with water. And one day its peace will begin to tremble, without you even understanding why. I do not speak these things to make you afraid, but to awaken you in the light. The battle you are facing is not merely the outward turmoil, not merely the noise of this age, not merely the chaos within society or the arrogant ideas that call themselves wisdom. The deeper root lies in the unseen realm, where forces opposed to the truth seek to cloud your mind. As Ephesians 6:12 says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Understand this, my child, the enemy of your soul does not always push you into the abyss with one great fall. Often it simply leads you away one small step at a time, until you no longer realize how far the distance between you and me has grown. What it desires most is for you to believe that everything is still fine, while the holy fire within you is slowly growing cold. Look around this world, and you will see many things once called false, now decorated with beautiful words. much pride clothed in the name of enlightenment, and many lies presented as the light of knowledge. But, my child, not every light comes from me. There is a kind of light that blinds people without leading them to life. There are voices that sound very reasonable yet pull the soul away from humility, repentance, and worship. That is why my son declared, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life, in John 8:12. Measure every invitation by that light. Whatever causes you to love me more, to become more humble, more pure, more merciful, hold tightly to it. But whatever causes you to grow cold toward prayer, to despise holiness, to ignore your conscience, or to persuade yourself that you no longer need me, then no matter how sweet it appears, you must recognize the poison hidden within it. I know there are days when you are weary. I know there are wounds within your heart that life has touched again before they had time to heal. It is within those painful places that darkness often whispers that you have the right to close yourself off, the right to become bitter, the right to give up, the right to live without forgiving. But my beloved child, resentment does not protect you. It only builds walls that make it harder for light to enter. Fear does not keep you safe. It only takes the place of my promises within your mind. A painful memory that is not surrendered beneath grace can become a shelter for destructive thoughts. A relationship that pulls you away from me, if continually tolerated, can become a soft but unbreakable chain. Therefore, when you notice your heart growing heavy, your words becoming sharp, your patience fading, and holy joy becoming unfamiliar, do not rush to condemn yourself. Return to me. Open the door and allow me to come in and heal what you have tried to hide. Remember the story of Nehemiah, when he heard that the walls of Jerusalem lay in ruins and its gates had been burned with fire. His heart was not indifferent. He wept, fasted, prayed, and then rose up to rebuild what had been broken. Yet, when the work began, mockery and opposition also arose. The enemy did not want the city rebuilt, because a city with walls is a protected city. My people had to build while remaining watchful, as it is written in Nehemiah 4:17. The workers labored with one hand doing the work and the other holding a weapon. Do you see it? My child, this is also a picture of your spiritual life. I do not call you to pray while leaving your mind wide open to every lie. Neither do I call you to fight while forgetting to rebuild gentleness, gratitude, forgiveness, and faith. You must both restore the walls that have been cracked and remain watchful against the things that seek to tear them down once again. There are times when darkness does not need to make you commit some great sin. It only needs to make you no longer want to rise again. It makes you so discouraged that you no longer pray, so busy that you no longer listen, so wounded that you no longer love, so accustomed to compromise that you no longer feel the need for discernment. But I remind you today, you are not powerless. You are not an abandoned house where anything may enter at will. Your body and your soul belong to me. My name has been placed upon you. Remember the words of James 4:7. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. You resist not with panicked shouting, but with steadfast obedience, not with proud self-strength, but by standing under my power. When you say no to what defiles your heart, when you choose forgiveness instead of nurturing resentment, when you return to prayer, even if only with a weary sigh, when you place my word into the places once occupied by lies, the light begins to reclaim its ground. Therefore, my beloved child, do not fall asleep in an age that takes pride in turning away from its creator. Do not let the world teach you to call chains freedom, coldness, maturity, or rebellion courage. True freedom is not doing everything the flesh desires, but being delivered from the things that secretly rule over you. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. As Psalm 119, 105 declares, and I gave you that word not to place a burden upon your shoulders, but so you would not walk in blindness. Allow my light to examine every room within your heart. Let me close the doors that need to be closed. Cleanse the old stains. Rebuild the weakened walls. And rekindle the lamp that the winds of life have nearly extinguished. I do not call you to live in fear, but in watchfulness. I do not call you to look at darkness more than you look at me, but I teach you to recognize it so you will not be deceived. Stand firm, my child, for the light within me is stronger than the longest night, and when you remain in me, no darkness has the authority to rule over your soul again. My beloved child, there are fortresses on the outside that appear strong and secure, yet inside they lack my presence. There are plans you think you hold firmly in your hands, yet only one unexpected wind is enough to make your heart tremble. I do not condemn you for trying to build your life, for I know you have had to be strong through many lonely seasons. But my child, what I want you to understand is this: human strength can never replace grace. Control can never replace peace. And the walls you build out of fear will never protect you better than my embrace. As Psalm 127:1 reminds you, unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. You may arrange everything skillfully. You may tell yourself that you are now mature enough, experienced enough, careful enough, that you no longer need to depend deeply on me as before. Yet when your soul is no longer anchored in me, even one word, one event, one small loss can shake the entire world within you. Sometimes distance does not arrive through loud rebellion, but through very quiet steps backward. At first, you skip one moment of prayer because you are too tired, and then your heart slowly becomes accustomed to not speaking with me. At first, you keep one sorrow hidden because you are not yet ready to face it, and that sorrow quietly becomes a veil that keeps you from seeing my love clearly. At first, you only want to solve everything by yourself, and gradually you begin to believe that your life rests entirely in your own hands. But my child, when you walk away from the source of living water, it is not that I have changed, but that the stream within you begins to dry up. I am still near, but your ears are filled with the noise of anxiety. I am still calling, but your heart is being pulled away by the things you believe will make you feel more secure. Remember the words my son spoke in John 15:5, "Apart from me you can do nothing." Those words were not meant to make you feel small, but to remind you that a branch only truly lives while it remains connected to the vine. I have seen many souls led away from the light, not by the things they hated, but by the things they believed were comforting them. Some run into work to avoid hearing the emptiness within their hearts. Some cling to a relationship simply because they fear loneliness, even though that relationship is causing them to grow cold toward what is holy. Some use possessions, achievements, praise, entertainment, or fleeting pleasures to cover the emptiness that only I can fill. But cracked cisterns cannot hold water for long. My beloved child, what does not come from me may help you forget the pain for a moment, but it cannot heal you at the root. Jeremiah 2:13 spoke of my people forsaking the fountain of living waters to dig broken cisterns that can hold no water. And the same thing is still happening in the hearts of many today. I do not want you wandering from place to place, begging for a few drops of false comfort, while before you stands the river of grace that never runs dry. Therefore, when you find it difficult to pray, do not quickly conclude that I have gone far away. When your mind feels chaotic, Do not immediately believe that I have fallen silent. When you feel lost, do not think that you have been abandoned in the wilderness. Many times, those very feelings are warning bells telling you that something has entered the place that belongs to me alone. A small door within your heart may have opened to anxiety, bitterness, self-pity, or deception. These invisible influences do not need to overpower you by force. They only need you to listen to them long enough for them to begin shaping your thoughts. They will whisper that you have lost too much to hope again, that your prayers have come too late, that your season of blessing has already passed. But I say to you, do not believe the voices that bury hope. Believe my word instead. For Isaiah 43:19 declares, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth." What you think is an ending may actually be the ground I am preparing for resurrection. Remember King Hezekiah, my beloved child, when the Assyrian army surrounded him, when threatening words were sent to make my people tremble in fear. The walls of Jerusalem were not where he placed his ultimate hope. He took the letter filled with mockery into the temple, spread it before me, and asked me to intervene. He did not pretend that he was unafraid, nor did he try to prove that he was strong enough on his own. He brought his fear into my presence, and I answered him. This teaches you that true victory does not begin when you gain control over every circumstance, but when you place what threatens you at my feet. The voices trying to break your spirit may sound loud, but my voice is greater. The powers that make you feel as though you are about to lose everything may seem overwhelming, but my power is not limited by what your eyes can see. As Zechariah 4:6 says, "Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit." My child, I do not want you to live as someone controlled by influences you fail to recognize. I have given you discernment, the living word, and the power to stand firm. Your weapons are not stubbornness, not tightening your heart in fear, and not escaping into busyness. Your weapons are truth, prayer, repentance, forgiveness, and returning to me day by day. As 2 Corinthians 10:4 reminds you that our weapons have divine power to demolish strongholds. Use the light to tear down the places where darkness has built its shelters. Allow me to show you what must be released, which doors must be closed, which voices you must stop listening to, and which places within your heart still need healing. You do not need to fight alone, for your Father is not standing at a distance watching you grow weary. I enter the battle with you. And now, breathe deeply in this truth. You have not lost everything. You have not gone too far. And you are not defined by your seasons of dryness. If you can still hear my voice calling, then the way home is still open. If your heart still longs for the light, then the fire within you has not gone out. I am preparing for you not a temporary survival, but a new season rebuilt upon a stronger foundation. Stop seeking fulfillment in cups that cannot save you. Return to the source of life. Let me soften what has grown hardened, illuminate what has grown dim, and restore what seemed lost. For in my hands, ruins can become a temple, tears can become seeds, and a soul that once believed itself exhausted can still rise again in the light of victory. My beloved child, listen to what I am gently placing deep within your heart. Not every fortress that appears strong is truly safe, and not everything you call control is peace. There are walls you have built out of strain, out of old experiences, out of fear of being wounded, out of the belief that if you are strong enough, nothing will ever make you fall. But my child, no matter how firm human strength may seem, it can never replace my presence. The house may appear beautiful on the outside, but if its foundation is not set upon the eternal rock, then, when fierce winds arise, the hidden cracks will begin to show. That is why my son said, "Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house upon the rock." As written in Matthew 7:24, I do not want you merely to appear strong before the eyes of others. I want you to have a true refuge in me, where your soul will not be swept away whenever darkness blows through in the form of anxiety, weariness, or despair. There have been seasons when you believed I was silent, but in truth your heart had become covered by too many other voices. You did not notice it at first, because distance rarely begins with some great denial, but with very small compromises. One day you postpone prayer because you are too busy. Another day, you hold on to a sorrow because you are not yet ready to surrender it to me. And then another day you tell yourself that you can manage everything on your own without first running to me. Little by little, distance forms, not because I abandoned you, but because you allowed other things to sit in the place that belongs to me. Remember my words in Jeremiah 29:13. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I do not hide myself to exhaust you with searching. I am still near. But I desire for you to return with your whole heart, not merely through habit, not through hurried prayers, but through the true return of a soul that knows it needs the source of life. I see the invisible things trying to direct your steps, not through violent chains, but through gentle whispers. They do not always tell you to leave me. Sometimes they simply tell you to wait a little longer, to heal yourself through easier comforts, to fill the emptiness with work, praise, relationships, and things your eyes can see and your hands can touch. But my child, temporary things can never fill the eternal depth I have placed within you. I created your heart wider than success, deeper than pleasure, and holier than every false comfort. As Psalm 42:1 says, "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul longs for you." O God, you were created to thirst for me, and only when you return to me will that thirst finally be called by its true name and satisfied by living water. Do not let darkness deceive you with the appearance of false peace. Some things seem like rest at first, but afterward leave your heart heavier. There are places you run to in order to forget your pain. But the longer you remain there, the more you lose the song within you. There are choices that promise freedom, yet in the end leave you more fearful, lonely, and empty than before. Comfort that does not come from me will always require you to return to it again and again. Yet it will never truly heal you. It numbs you, but it does not bring you back to life. It makes you forget the wound for a moment, but it does not cleanse the root of the pain. I am the one who said in John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives." The peace of the world depends on favorable circumstances, but my peace can stand firm in the middle of the storm. Because it does not grow from the earth, it flows down from heaven. Remember the prophet Elijah, my beloved child. After he had seen fire fall from heaven upon Mount Carmel, after he had witnessed my power revealed before the people, there still came a moment when he fled in exhaustion, sat beneath a broom tree, and asked to die. Do you see, my child? Even one who once stood boldly before crowds can fall into moments of emptiness and confusion. Yet I did not come to Elijah with condemnation. I sent an angel to bring him bread and water, so that he could eat, rest, and continue the journey to the place where I desired to meet him. And afterward, I was not found in the mighty wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in the still small voice. This too is my word to you today, when you are weary. I do not drive you away, I care for you. When you think you have reached the end of the road, I still have a path ahead for you. When you can no longer hear my voice through the noise of fear, I will call to you again with a gentleness deep enough for your soul to recognize its Father. Therefore, do not believe the lie that you have lost too much for there to be anything left worth praying for. Do not believe that your season of sorrow has closed every door. Do not believe that your days of wandering have the right to define your entire life. I am the one who brings life back to what has withered, who rebuilds what has fallen, and who calls light forth from the places you believed held nothing but ashes. Isaiah 61:3 says that I give a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of heaviness. You may think all that remains are broken fragments, but in my hands, those fragments can become a new altar. You may think emptiness is the end, but I can transform it into space, ready to be filled with grace. You may think your weariness proves your failure, but I see within it an invitation. Stop carrying everything alone, and allow me to lift you up. Now I call you back, not in fear, but in trust. Close the doors that have been opened to anxiety, bitterness, doubt, and impure comforts. Let me enter the inner room you locked away because of pain. Let my word replace the voices that have weakened you. Pray again, even if at first it is only one small sentence. Worship again, even while tears still fall. Choose the light again, even if your heart does not yet feel strong. For I do not wait until you are perfect before drawing near to you. I draw near so that you may be restored. My child, the new season is not as far away as you think. Revival does not begin with loud celebration, but with the moment you turn your face back toward me. And when you return, you will see that I have prepared for you not merely survival through the storm, but victory after the storm, not merely temporary peace, but a firm foundation rooted in a love that will never leave you. My beloved child, stand still for a moment in my presence and hear what I am speaking into the deepest place of your soul. I did not create you to live beneath the shadow of fear, nor did I call you to remain bowed beneath the things that once wounded you. There is a light within you that no circumstance has the right to possess, a flame I placed within your soul from the very beginning, before you knew how to name pain, before you understood what spiritual battles were, before the world tried to teach you to doubt your own worth. That light does not come from your own strained effort, but from the breath I breathed into you. Therefore, when I declared in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world," I was not speaking to perfect souls, but to those I chose to shine in the midst of a dark generation. There may have been times when you covered that light with weariness, disappointment, or memories that caused your heart to close itself off. But I have not forgotten what I placed within you. Today I call you to remember, not so that you may grieve the past, but so that you may realize that holy fire is still there, waiting for me to breathe upon it once again. There were days when you prayed with complete simplicity, trusting me without needing to see the results immediately before your eyes. You once walked with a pure kind of faith, like a child holding the hand of a father without questioning every turn in the road ahead. Then the battles came. The losses passed through your life. The words that wounded you were spoken, and the long seasons of waiting left you weary. Little by little, you began to live more cautiously, pray more carefully, and hope with a smaller heart. But, my child, I do not see those tears as signs of failure. I have kept every one of them in my remembrance. Just as Psalm 56:8 says that your tears are recorded in my book. What you believed was only a wound, I can turn into wisdom. What you believed was only loss, I can transform into depth. What you thought had weakened you, I can use to sharpen spiritual discernment within you. A sword does not shine because it has never passed through fire, but because it endured the fire without being destroyed. Therefore, do not see yourself as someone driven to the end of the road. See yourself through my eyes. You are one who has been called, prepared, and placed in this very moment not by accident, but by my eternal wisdom. I do not need you to pretend to be strong. I need you to stand firm in me. A warrior of light is not recognized by never trembling, but by still choosing to believe while the heart is trembling. Strength does not belong to the one who avoids the battlefield, but to the one who remains, standing in obedience, who allows faith to lead when natural eyes cannot yet see the way forward. That one understands my power. As 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds you that I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. Let those words break every old voice that once called you weak, defeated, or too late. I do not call you by your past. I call you by the purpose I have placed upon your life. Remember Gideon, who once hid in the winepress because he feared the Midianites. When my angel appeared to him, he did not feel like a hero, did not see himself as capable, and did not believe he was worthy to be sent. Yet I called him a mighty warrior, not because he was displaying courage at that moment, but because I saw what I was about to awaken within him. Then I did not allow him to win through numbers or human strength, but reduced the army until only a small group remained, carrying trumpets, jars, and torches. When the clay jars were broken, the light hidden within burst forth into the night, and the enemy fell into confusion. My beloved child, do you see that picture? There are things in your life that seem broken, yet through that very brokenness, the light I placed within you is revealed. I do not need you to outnumber the darkness. I only need your obedience. I do not need you to be perfect. I need the torch I placed within you to burn brightly. Now, clothe yourself with the armor I have given you, not as some distant symbol, but as a spiritual reality for every day you live. Let truth be fastened around your heart. Let righteousness guard your chest. Let faith become a shield against the arrows of doubt. Let salvation protect your mind from accusations. And let my word become the sword in your mouth. Ephesians 6:11 teaches, "Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil." When you declare my word, you are not merely speaking empty sounds. You are placing your soul beneath the authority of truth. When you pray, even in whispers, heaven does not ignore you. When you choose silence instead of responding with anger, choose forgiveness instead of nurturing hatred, choose watchfulness instead of surrendering to despair, you are removing darkness from its place within the spiritual house of your soul. And know this, my child, when you begin to stand firmly in the authority I have given you, the old things may try to return. Old fears will knock at your door with familiar voices. Old wounds will try to convince you that you are not truly healed. Your old nature will seek to pull you back into old reactions, old anger, old ways of thinking. But this time, you no longer walk as one who does not understand. You have learned how to guard your heart. You do not need to answer every voice that calls to you. You do not need to open the door to every emotion. You do not need to prove yourself through anger or protect yourself through hardness of heart. I am within you. And as John 4:4 declares, greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. Your true strength is not found in a louder voice, but in being firmly anchored in me, not in reacting quickly, but in holy discernment that knows how to wait for my voice. In this season, I am also doing a deeper work in the world, and within every heart, I am separating light from darkness, truth from falsehood, holiness from compromises, disguised with beautiful appearances. The hidden gray places where people once found refuge are now being exposed by my light. Not because I desire destruction, but because I desire purification. Confusion cannot heal the soul. Only truth can set it free. As John 3:21 says, that whoever lives by the truth comes into the light. I am calling you out from every place where you have tried to make peace with what does not belong to me. You cannot continue embracing the light while secretly keeping darkness as a hidden companion. You cannot long for my presence while nurturing the very things that cause your soul to grow cold. The choices in this season will become clearer, not to make you afraid, but to free you from the double-mindedness that has wearied you for so long. Therefore, rise up, my beloved child. Allow me to restore the joy you once carried, the kindness that once kept your heart tender, and the simple faith that once enabled you to walk forward without needing to see the entire path ahead. Let me rekindle the lamp within you, not through fleeting emotions, but through the enduring power of the Holy Spirit. Do not call yourself someone who has lost too much. Call yourself one whom I am rebuilding. Do not call yourself a survivor wandering through darkness. Receive your place as a bearer of light. I am redrawing the boundaries within your heart, closing the wrong doors, opening holy ones, and placing your feet upon solid rock. Walk as one who has been chosen, not arrogant, but steadfast, not fearful, but watchful, not hating the darkness, yet no longer allowing it to rule over you. For I am with you. I am within you. And the light I have placed inside you will burn even brighter after every long night you have endured. My beloved child, let your heart become still before my call. For I come not to condemn you for the days when you were weak and weary, but to breathe life into the part of your light you thought had gone out. There were seasons when you forgot how radiant you once were while walking closely with me. You forgot how pure your prayers once flowed from your heart, and how simple your faith once was when you clung to my promises, even though your eyes could not yet see change. But I have never forgotten. I still remember the moments when you whispered my name through tears, the times when you chose to believe while every door remained closed, the moments when you possessed nothing except a small hope, yet still placed it into my hands. As it is written in Revelation 2:5, remember from where you have fallen, repent, and do the works you did at first. I do not call you to remember so that you may condemn yourself, but so that you may return to the first spring where your love, your faith, and your joy once began. The light within you is not a lamp you created by your own strength. So do not believe that a few dark seasons can destroy what I have placed within your soul. From the moment I formed you in my mysterious wisdom, I placed within you a light that belongs to heaven itself, the light of kindness, discernment, courage, and faith that still looks upward, even while the ground beneath trembles. You may cover it with weariness, allow disappointment to dim it, or let the voices of the world make you forget who you are in me. But no one has the power to extinguish what I have ignited. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As John 1:5 declares. And today I remind you that this light is not as weak as you think. If only you will turn your face back toward me. If only you will open your heart to the breath of the Holy Spirit once again, the ember you thought had gone cold will burst into flame anew. Therefore, do not rise as one cornered at the end of the road, but rise as one whom I have called by name in the midst of the battlefield. You are not a soul drifting accidentally through this life. You were placed in this moment by my design. There are battles you did not choose, yet I have used them to build endurance within you. There are wounds you once believed were proof of failure, but in my hands they have become places where you learned mercy, humility, and how to recognize my voice among countless others. As Romans 8:28 reminds you that all things work together for good to those who love me. Believe that not one of your tears has been wasted. Not one of your long nights has been meaningless. And not one of your falls lies beyond the restoring power of my grace. Remember Jehoshaphat when he stood before an army so vast that human strength could not withstand it. He did not begin the battle with pride, nor did he pretend that he was strong enough. He stood before me and confessed that the people did not know what to do, but their eyes were fixed upon me. And I spoke through my servant, "This battle is not yours, but God's," as written in 2 Chronicles 20:15. When they went out, the singers walked ahead of the army, praising me before they had seen victory. Do you see, my child? There are battles not first won by the sword, but by worship, not won through tension and striving, but through trusting the one who goes before you. When you pray in faith, when you sing in the midst of ruins, when you declare my word while darkness still surrounds you, you are proclaiming that the final authority belongs not to fear, but to me. I have given you spiritual armor, not for decoration in your memory, but for you to wear every day of your life. Let my truth fasten your mind when lies try to slip in. Let righteousness guard your heart from the arrows of shame and accusation. Lift up the shield of faith when old fears come knocking again. Put on salvation so that your past no longer defines you. Take up the sword of my word, for the word of God is living and active. As Hebrews 4:12 declares, when you respond to circumstances with my word instead of reacting from your wounds, you are closing old doors. When you remain silent in wisdom instead of exploding in anger, you bear witness that I reign within you. When you forgive, you do not become weaker, you break the chains darkness wants to use to keep you trapped in the past. There will be familiar voices trying to call you back to your old self. The fear that once controlled you may return wearing a very familiar face. Old wounds may whisper that you are not truly healed. The world may invite you into gray places where people speak of light while nurturing darkness, where they speak my name yet live, as though my word no longer carries authority. But my beloved child, the season of compromise cannot continue in my presence forever. I am shining light upon hidden motives, compromises wrapped in excuses, and paths that appear harmless while secretly pulling the soul away from holiness. As 1 John 1:5 declares, God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. So anyone who desires to walk closely with me must allow that light to discern what belongs to life and what is quietly causing the soul to grow cold. The separation I am bringing is not only out there in the noisy world, but also within the deepest room of the human heart. I am asking every soul, what do you truly love? What are you allowing to lead you? Which voice are you choosing to rule over your mind? No one can remain standing between two altars forever. No one can continue holding on to the life I give while tightly embracing the things that slowly drain the soul. Do not fear when I expose what needs to change. For I do not expose in order to shame you, I expose in order to free you. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. As John 8:32 promises, the truth may hurt when it touches the things you once avoided, but that pain is the pain of healing, not destruction. Now rise in my light. Remember the joy you once carried. But do not live only on old memories. Allow me to do a new thing within you. Shine brightly, not through display or performance, but through a pure life, a tender heart, and a faith that no longer bows before lies. Step into your place, not arrogantly, but steadfastly, not loudly, but with authority, not afraid of darkness, yet never compromising with it. I am within you, and the one who is within you is greater than everything that stands against you. Let my light restore your song, renew your courage, and place back into your hands the torch you once believed you had lost. For you were not called to disappear into the night, you were called to shine, to stand firm, and to walk as one who belongs to me in a generation that desperately needs to see the true light. My beloved child, when I rekindle the light within you, it is not only so that you may find the way for yourself, but so that your life may become a gentle sign for souls still feeling their way through the night. I do not restore you as one who has merely escaped the storm and now sits holding tightly to survival. I restore you so that you may become a witness of grace, so that others may look at your peace and remember that there is still one who reigns amid the chaos. You are the light of the world, as Matthew 5:14 declares. But that light does not need to be loud in order to be powerful. It can shine through a gentle word when you have every reason to be angry, through a compassionate gaze when someone else is stumbling, through quiet steadiness when everything around you seems to be shaking. Do not underestimate the way you live each day, for there are souls who do not read Scripture with their eyes, but are reading my love through your life. In the nights when you thought your tears were falling into meaningless emptiness, I was there, drawing closer than you realized. Not one of your sighs was forgotten. Not one prayer choked by pain was treated lightly by me. There are seeds I plant in your heart that do not sprout immediately beneath the sunlight, but must first be buried deep in the darkness of surrender. You only see silent soil, but I see roots forming. You only see yourself waiting, but I am arranging paths, people, moments, and answers that your sight is not yet wide enough to recognize. As Psalm 126:5 says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy." Believe that your tears are not the end. Under my power, they become the water that nourishes a harvest you have not yet seen. At times, you may feel confused because you see no sign that the promise is drawing near. But my child, I do not move according to the hurried rhythm of the human heart. I am not rushed like one who fears being late, nor am I delayed as you imagine. I make everything beautiful in its time. As Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds you, and in my appointed time, what seemed sealed shut can open, what seemed barren can sprout, and what seemed finished can receive new breath. When you are silent, it does not mean heaven is silent. When you do not know how to move forward, it does not mean I am not leading the way. When you think everything has died, it may be the very moment when I am quietly preparing a resurrection that your own understanding could never produce. Remember Hannah, the woman who came before me with a broken heart in the temple. She did not have polished prayers to prove her faith. Her lips moved in pain while her soul poured itself out before me like water. Others may have misunderstood that silence, but I understood. I hear what human ears cannot hear. I see what human eyes cannot see. And at the appointed time, I gave her Samuel not merely as an answer to a mother longing for a child, but as a prophet offered back for my holy purpose, my beloved child. In the same way, some of the things you weep for today are not only answers to your need, but seeds for something greater in my plan. Where you thought there was only pain, I can bring forth a testimony. Where you thought there was only waiting, I can prepare a calling. Your faith is not proven in the days when everything is favorable, but refined when you still choose to believe in places where there is no visible evidence yet. Faith is not a heart that has never trembled, but a trembling heart that still knows how to turn toward me. Faith is not the denial of the storm, but standing in the midst of the storm and declaring that I am still here. Hebrews 11:1 calls faith the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Therefore, when your eyes cannot yet see the way out, let your soul look to the one who is promised. When your emotions waver, let my word become your anchor. When your mind asks why, let your heart remember that I have never been unfaithful to those who take refuge in me. Every time you choose to believe in the midst of pain, you are declaring that darkness does not have the final word. Every time you give thanks while still in lack, you are opening a pathway for miracles to enter places that seemed locked shut. Every time you pray while tears are still wet upon your face, you are proving that your hope is not rooted in circumstances, but in me. Do not despise your small faith. My son said that if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can speak to a mountain and it will move. As written in Matthew 17:20, the mustard seed is small, but the life within it is not small. Your prayer may be short, but if it is placed within genuine faith, it reaches the throne of my grace. And there will be people who look at you and wonder why you are still gentle after all the things that wounded you, why you still know how to love after being misunderstood, why you still carry peace while the world around you is filled with noise. In those moments, you will not need to explain very much. My presence within you will answer for you. 1 Peter 3:15 reminds you to be ready to give an answer for the hope within you with gentleness and reverence. But before your lips ever speak, your life itself can already bear witness. A genuine smile in the midst of trials, gratitude in times of lack, patience while waiting, all these things can become a lamp set high, shining for those who believe the darkness is the final destination of their lives. Therefore, walk as one who has been touched by me, not proud, but radiant, not self-satisfied, but filled with gratitude. Let each day of your life become a quiet song lifted up to me. Let every breath remind you that my love has carried you through places you once believed you could never survive. The house within you no longer belongs to fear, it belongs to me. And where I reign, darkness cannot rule. Keep the lamp of faith burning, even while the night winds still blow. Believe that what I have begun within you, I will complete. And when other souls see that light within you, they will not merely see someone who survived, they will see my glory turning tears into harvest, waiting into testimony, and a once broken heart into a lamp, guiding others back to hope. My beloved child, stop imagining me as a distant God seated far above, measuring every one of your failures with cold eyes. I am holy, yet my holiness does not cause me to despise your weakness. Rather, because I am holy, my love is pure, steadfast, and unchanging through every season in which you stumble. I do not wait for you to dry your tears before drawing near to you. I do not require you to stand up perfect before you may enter my embrace. When you are so weary that you no longer have complete prayers left within you, when all you can do is sigh in a silent room, I still hear you. When you feel unworthy even to lift your eyes, I still bend down toward you. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. A Psalm 34:18 declares, let those words sink into the deepest place within you. Your brokenness does not drive me away. It is the very place where my mercy draws near. There are wounds you have hidden for so long that you have begun to believe no one could ever understand them. There are shames clinging to your memories like shadows, making you afraid that if I saw everything, I would be disappointed, turn my face away, or remain silent toward you. But my child, I saw you before you ever learned how to hide. I know every place where you were wounded, every choice you regret, every time you pretended to be fine while inside you were breaking apart. And though I have known all of it, I still love you with a love that does not withdraw. Romans 5:8 reminds you that while humanity was still in sin, Christ died for them. This means my love did not begin when you became good enough, nor does it end when you are weak. I loved you before you could fix yourself, and it is that very love that carries the power to make you new. Do not let shame build a wall between you and me. Shame often tells you to hide, to remain silent, to fix everything yourself before coming near to me. But my voice is different. I call you out of hiding, not to expose you to humiliation, but to cover you with grace. From the very beginning, when Adam and Eve hid among the trees of the garden in fear, I came searching and called, "Where are you?" That question was not because I did not know where they were, but because I desired for them to step out from the darkness of hiding. Today, I ask you the same question, not with a voice of condemnation, but with the voice of a father searching for you in the inner garden filled with the dry leaves of regret. Where are you, my beloved child? What are you hiding from the love that has already seen everything and still refuses to let you go? Remember Hagar, the woman left behind in the wilderness, alone in a dry land where it seemed no one saw her pain. She was not in a palace, not honored by crowds, and had no one to defend her. Yet I met her there in the desolate place. It was in the very place where she believed herself forgotten that she came to know me as the God who sees me. As written in Genesis 16:13. Do you see? My child, I am not present only in shining temples or in the moments when you feel strong and radiant. I am also present in your desert, in the places where you feel abandoned, where your tears fall unheard, where your heart grows weary because you no longer know whom to lean upon. I see you. I see even the things you cannot yet put into words. And my gaze is not the cold stare of judgment, but the eyes of the one who fully knows your pain and still calls you by name. At times, you think I am pleased only when you shine brightly, satisfied only when you win the battle, close only when you live everything rightly. But listen to me deeply. My child, I am not only the God of your strong days, I am also your father in the days when you fall. When Peter denied my son 3 times, he believed that failure would define him forever. Yet, after the resurrection, my son did not come to reopen the wound like a knife. He came to the shore, built a fire, prepared a meal, and then asked him with love, "Do you love me?" In John 21. Peter's restoration did not begin with punishment, but with an invitation back into love. My beloved child, this is how I deal with you as well. I do not deny your failures, but neither do I allow them to become the final chapter. I can transform the very place where you once failed into the place from which you are sent out again with deeper humility. Therefore, when you are weak, do not run from me. When you are broken, do not think you must gather every shattered piece before I am allowed to enter. I am the healer, not one who stands at a distance merely observing. Isaiah 57:15 says that I dwell in the high and holy place, but also with the one who is contrite and humble in spirit, in order to revive them. Let this truth break every false image of me within your heart. I am great, yet I am not distant. I am majestic, yet I am not cruel. I am whole, yet I do not despise the brokenhearted. I draw near to those who know they need grace, because it is within the heart that no longer defends itself with pride that I can place new life. You do not need to perform strength before me. I know when your smile is only a thin garment covering sorrow. I know when your words "I'm fine" are really a cry without sound. I know when you pray while your mind is in turmoil. When you read my word, yet your heart still feels heavy. When you want to believe, but tears continue to blur your vision. And I do not grow tired of you. I do not become weary of lifting you up one more time. Hebrews 4:15-16 reminds you that you have a high priest who is able to sympathize with your weakness. So, come boldly to the throne of grace to receive mercy and find help in time of need. You do not come near to me because you are without wounds. You come near because only in me can those wounds truly be washed clean. Today, Let me sit beside you in the very place you once feared to open. I will not force my way in. I will not tear the pain from your hands like one who is harsh and careless. I will remain there patiently, gently calling your name, so that you may know you have not been abandoned in your long night. If all you can whisper is one small sentence, then whisper it. If all you can do is weep, then weep in my presence. If you do not yet have the strength to rise, let me lift you little by little. I do not see your trembling as failure. I see it as proof that you are still alive, still listening, and still able to be restored. And when you allow me to love you in that very weakness, you will begin to realize that my love is not like the love of the world. The world often loves when you are useful, beautiful, successful, or able to meet expectations. But I love you with a love that flows from my very nature. I discipline it, but I do not cast away. I expose, but only in order to heal. I call you to repentance, but not to bury you beneath despair. I call you to repentance, so that the way back to life may be opened before you. My beloved child, your darkest night does not frighten me. Your deepest brokenness does not exceed my power. Lean upon me. Allow me to hold you in mercy. For even when you believe there is nothing lovable left within you, I still see you as the child I created, called by name, redeemed, and will never easily let go. My beloved child, let your heart stop trembling before the false image that fear has painted of me. I am not a distant God seated high upon a throne, merely counting your failures and turning away whenever you fall short of perfection. I am holy, but my holiness is not cold. It is a pure fire that burns away what harms you without destroying the child whom I love. When you fall, I do not remain above watching you struggle while waiting for you to stand again before allowing you near me. I come in the very moment when you no longer have the strength to hold yourself up, when your hands fall limp, when your prayers break apart into sighs. As it is written in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Those words were not spoken to people who had already perfected themselves, but to exhausted souls, hearts carrying too much alone, children who believed they were no longer clean enough to be embraced. There are things you keep hidden within because you fear that if they are brought into the light, you will be rejected. There are memories that make you lower your head, failures that cause you to avoid my presence, wounds so long covered in silence that you have begun to believe they are simply part of who you are. But my child, I knew all of it before you even had words to confess it. I saw those dark corners, those moments of weakness, those days when you condemned yourself, those times you longed to return, but shame held your feet in place. And though I saw everything, I still chose to love you. My love is not a reward for your strength. My love is the source from which you are made strong again. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. As Isaiah 42:3 declares, "Do you see, my child? I do not extinguish the remaining light within you. I bend down to shield it from the raging wind until it can burn brightly once again." Remember the leper who approached my son trembling. In the eyes of the world, he was considered unclean, separated from society, forced to live as one who had lost the right to be touched, the right to draw near, the right to be seen as fully human. But when he knelt and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean," my son did not step back in fear of his uncleanness. He reached out his hand, touched him, and said, "I am willing, be clean." As recorded in Matthew 8:3, "My beloved child, this is my heart toward you. I do not recoil from your wounds. I am not defiled by your brokenness. The very places you believe would cause me to withdraw are the places where I desire to place my healing hand. I do not only speak from afar, I touch the places you believe no one would dare to touch, so that you may know my mercy is greater than every label of shame life has ever tried to place upon you. Therefore, do not let the voice of accusation replace my voice. The enemy wants you to believe that every time you are weak, the doorway home becomes narrower. But I tell you that the very moment you realize your need for grace, the road home is opening before you. The enemy wants you to hide as though shame could protect you. But I call you to step out as a beloved child, not as someone being hunted down. Therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. As Romans 1 reminds you, understand this rightly. My child, I do not take sin lightly, but neither do I allow sin to have the final word over your life. I expose what needs to be healed, not to humiliate you, but to free you from the silent prison in which you have lived for far too long. There are times when you think you must become better before you can pray, cleaner before you can draw near, or fully repaired before I will embrace you. But, my child, the sick do not wait until they are healed before seeking a physician. The lost do not wait until they find the way before calling for a guide. The moment you no longer know where to begin, begin simply by turning your face toward me. If all you have left is a whisper, I hear it. If all you have left are tears, I understand them. If all you have left is silence, I will still sit beside you in that silence. I do not force you to explain every pain immediately. I do not rush to pull you forward while your legs are still trembling. I am your father, and a father knows how to lift his child little by little, how to heal without causing further breaking. Stop believing that my presence is only for the days when you shine brightly. I am with you in the dark room, in the nights when you wonder whether you are still loved, in the mornings when you awaken with a heavy heart, even in the moments when you feel so far from me that you do not dare to call my name. Psalm 139:12 says that even the darkness is not dark to you. The night shines like the day. So your darkest night cannot hide you from my eyes. I see you, but I do not look upon you with contempt. I see you through the eyes of the one who created you, knew you, called you, and still holds a plan of restoration for your life. In the place where you see only brokenness, I see an altar that can be rebuilt. In the place where you see only ashes, I see new life waiting for my breath. Today, let me come closer to your fear. Let me enter the places shame has locked away. Let me place my hand upon the memories that wound you, upon the failures that cause you to condemn yourself, upon the emptiness that makes you feel unworthy of love. I do not come to scold a child who is already weeping. I do not come to place more burdens upon shoulders already exhausted. I come to bind wounds, to lift you up, and to rekindle your faith that you have not been abandoned. Lean upon me, even if you do not yet know what to say. Allow the arms of my mercy to surround you, for my love is not threatened by your weakness. And when you dare to believe that I am still here, even in your darkest night, you will begin once again to hear the whisper of life within your soul. You are not alone. You are not without hope, and your Father is still very near. My beloved child, let every noise within your heart grow quiet, for what I am calling you into is not a shallow religious habit, nor a safe distance where you merely stand outside and look at me from afar. I am calling you closer, deeper, more truly, until your life no longer carries faith only upon your lips, but becomes a continual breathing within my presence. Do not follow me like someone walking among a crowd without knowing where the heart is truly headed. Do not let my name become only a word you cry out in emergencies, while returning to control every path yourself once the waves grow calm again. I desire for you to remain near me as a branch remains in the vine. For my Son declared, "Abide in me, and I in you." In John 15:4. Those words are not decorations for beautiful moments of prayer. They are the true life of your soul. If you separate yourself from the source, you may still move, still work, still laugh, and speak. Yet inwardly, you will slowly dry out without understanding why. There are many who hear holy words, memorize sacred verses, and speak about me in familiar language, yet do not allow me to reign over even the smallest decisions of their lives. They love the comfort that comes from me, but not my correction. They desire blessing, but not surrender. They call me Lord, while still protecting the small throne of self-will within their hearts. My beloved child, I do not want you to walk in that way. Be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. As James 1:22 teaches, for hearing without obedience is like seeing the road home and still choosing to remain lost in the fog. Obedience is not a chain I place upon you. It is the doorway into freedom. When you obey me, you do not lose yourself. You rediscover who you truly are within the original purpose I placed upon you before you were formed. This is not the season for you to live in careless delay, telling yourself that tomorrow you will seek me more deeply. Tomorrow you will pray more sincerely. Tomorrow you will let go of what does not belong to me. Distance rarely begins with one great rejection. It usually begins with very small postponements. One day you do not listen. Then another day you do not seek my counsel. Then another day you become accustomed to deciding according to emotions, fear, or the voices of others, until your heart no longer recognizes my voice as clearly as it once did. Therefore, Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds you, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Acknowledge me not only in the temple, not only when tears fall, not only when you need a miracle, but in the way you speak, the way you remain silent, the way you choose, the way you love, the way you work, and the way you walk through an ordinary day. Remember Enoch, whose life was not marked merely by achievements visible to human eyes, but by this deep testimony, he walked with God. Genesis 5:24 says that Enoch walked with me, and then I took him, because he no longer belonged to the distant rhythm of the world. Think about this, my child. Enoch is not remembered for building great cities or conquering mighty nations, but for his steadfast, quiet, faithful closeness to me. He walked with me through ordinary days, through everyday breaths, through silent choices seen by heaven. In the same way, I am not seeking only brief moments when you burn brightly with emotion and then quickly forget me again. I am seeking a life that walks with me, a heart that asks me before acting, that knows how to stop when I restrain it, that knows how to move forward when I open the way, that loves my presence more than the applause of the world. Do not rely on another person's faith like a borrowed coat on a cold night. Do not think that simply because you stand near people who pray, hear holy words, or attend places where my name is spoken, your soul automatically becomes strong. I know each person by name, and I am calling you into a personal relationship with me. No one can breathe for you, and no one can love me in your place. When the day of testing comes, what will keep you standing is not the voice of the crowd, but the roots of faith that have grown deeply into me during quiet days unseen by others. My son spoke of the wise man who built his house upon the rock in Matthew 7:24-25, when the rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew. The house did not collapse because its foundation had been laid in the right place. Build your life upon me now, not when the storm has already arrived and you suddenly rush to search for a foundation. Dig deeply into my word, into prayer, into daily acts of quiet obedience, so that when the earth trembles, your heart will still have something firm to hold on to. I know you may fear this closeness, because drawing near to me means you can no longer hide the areas you once kept for yourself. But my child, I do not call you closer in order to take away your joy. I call you closer in order to remove from you the things disguised as joy that are secretly exhausting your soul. When you cling to me, you will begin to learn the rhythm of heaven, knowing how to wait while the world pressures you to rush, knowing how to speak when truth must be spoken, knowing how to remain silent when words would only deepen wounds, knowing how to release what you hold when it is pulling you away from life. If you love me, keep my commandments. As John 14:15 declares, true love is not merely a warm feeling during worship. True love takes the shape of surrender, of footsteps choosing my way, even when that way is not always easy for your flesh. Therefore, come near to me with your whole heart, not merely with the small portion left over after the world has drained your strength. Let me become the center of your life, not an attachment added to it. Do not seek only my hand because of what I can give. Seek my face because I, myself, am your life. Do not cling only to blessings. Cling to the one who blesses. Do not ask only for escape. Learn to walk with me even in the valley. When you work with awareness of my presence. When you speak with others, let your words be filtered through my love. When you make decisions, let my peace rule within your heart. And when you are tempted to return to old ways, remember that you no longer belong to darkness. You belong to me, my beloved child. I do not call you closer in order to burden you, but so that you may be anchored within a love that cannot be shaken. When you remain in me, the voice of the world will gradually lose its power to seduce you. When you listen to me with your soul, you will discern which voices lead to life and which whispers are filled with deception. When you obey in small things, you are being prepared for greater things. And when you cling to me not merely with your lips, but with your decisions, your habits, and your quiet faithfulness, you will discover an unshakable strength growing within your heart. Not because you are stronger than every storm, but because you have been hidden within the one who is stronger than every storm. Come closer, my child. Remain with me. Obey me. Walk with me until every breath within you becomes a gentle declaration. Father, I belong to you, and I will no longer depart from your presence. My beloved child, listen to my voice, not with hurried ears, but with the full depth of your soul. For I am leading you out of a season of living by fleeting emotions and into a season of maturity in the Spirit. The maturity I speak of is not measured by age, by experiences endured, or by the amount of knowledge gathered from the world. Some have lived many years, yet remain fragile before every wind. Some have heard countless holy words, yet still do not know how to obey in small things. Some speak beautifully about faith, yet tremble when forced to stand alone in trial. I desire for you to grow in another way, to grow in discernment, in faithfulness, in the ability to hear my voice through the noise, and in obedience, even when you do not yet fully understand the path before you. As Hebrews 5:14 reminds you that solid food belongs to the mature, those who through practice have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil. I am also training you day by day so that you will no longer live vaguely between light and darkness. Do not think that I am calling you into maturity merely so that you may sound more serious in your words or appear stronger before others. I am preparing you for days that will require a deeply rooted heart, a faith that is not borrowed, and a flame that does not go out when no one remains beside you to encourage you. There are seasons when I allow you to be strengthened by the prayers of others, by community, and by the embrace of those close to you. But there are also seasons when I will lead you into quiet places so that you may learn that I am your first and final source of strength. When familiar voices are no longer around, you will begin to recognize my voice. When outward affirmation fades away, you will learn to stand firmly upon the promises within. When the burning emotions of the beginning are no longer as strong, you will learn to love me through faithfulness and not merely through feelings. Remember the story of Samuel as a young boy in the temple. That night, my voice did not thunder through a crowd, nor did it come through a grand ceremony, but through the stillness, while the lamp in the house of God had not yet gone out. At first, Samuel did not recognize my voice, so he ran to Eli. Yet Eli could not hear for him forever, but could only teach him to answer, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." As written in 1 Samuel 10. Do you see, my child? There comes a moment in the spiritual journey when you cannot continue living through another person's ears, another person's prayers, or another person's discernment. I still use others to guide you, but I desire for you yourself to know how to kneel, how to listen, and how to recognize my calling in the deep night of your own life. Therefore, do not see moments of loneliness as proof that I have abandoned you. Many times, it is precisely within those silent spaces that I am training your spiritual ears. You once believed silence meant absence, but within the silence, I am teaching you how to distinguish between the voice of anxiety and the voice of wisdom, between the pressure of the flesh and the leading of the Holy Spirit, between advice that sounds reasonable yet carries no life, and my voice, which may be gentle yet filled with power. Isaiah 30:21 says that your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." And in order to hear that voice, your heart must stop chasing every sound, competing for your attention. I am drawing you out of immature dependence and bringing you into mature closeness, where you know how to seek me before making decisions, how to stop when I restrain you, and how to move forward when I say, "Go." This is not the season for you to sit still in spiritual coldness, comforting yourself with the thought that yesterday's prayers are enough for today's battles. Spiritual memories are precious, but you cannot live forever on yesterday's manna. The Israelites in the wilderness had to gather fresh manna every day if it was kept beyond the appointed time. It spoiled. In the same way, the prayers that helped you stand firm in a previous season cannot replace living fellowship with me today. I desire for you to come to me daily, not like one fulfilling a duty, but like one who knows they need breath from heaven. Watch and pray, as Matthew 26:41 declares, for watchfulness is not only seeing danger, but continually fastening your heart to the true source of strength. I am calling you to take part in protecting what is holy, but understand this rightly. I am not placing weapons of violence in your hands, nor calling you to fight through anger or pride. The protection I entrust to you is the guarding of purity within your heart, the keeping alive of prayer, and the preserving of truth from being diluted by comforting excuses. When you choose forgiveness instead of nurturing bitterness, you are protecting the house of your soul. When you refuse a small compromise, even when no one sees, you are laying another stone upon your spiritual wall. When you intercede for your family, your community, and future generations, you are standing in the gap before me. As Ezekiel 22:30 speaks of my searching for someone to rebuild the wall and stand in the gap. Do you understand? My child, every faithful life can become a watchtower in the unseen world. Do not think that I am calling you into maturity merely so that you may sound more serious in your words or appear stronger before the eyes of others. I am preparing you for days that will require a deeply rooted heart, a faith that is not borrowed, and a flame that does not go out when no one remains beside you to encourage you. There are seasons when I allow you to be strengthened by the prayers of others, by community, and by the embrace of those close to you. But there are also seasons when I will lead you into quiet places so that you may learn that I am your first and final source of strength. When familiar voices are no longer around, you will begin to recognize my voice. When outward affirmation fades away, you will learn to stand firmly upon the promises within. When the burning emotions of the beginning are no longer as strong, you will learn to love me through faithfulness and not merely through feelings. Remember the story of Samuel as a young boy in the temple. That night, my voice did not thunder through a crowd, nor did it come through a grand ceremony, but through the stillness while the lamp in the house of God had not yet gone out. At first, Samuel did not recognize my voice, so he ran to Eli. Yet Eli could not hear for him forever, but could only teach him to answer, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." As written in Ines, Samuel dry, saying, "Do you see, my child? There comes a moment in the spiritual journey when you cannot continue living through another person's ears, another person's prayers, or another person's discernment. I still use others to guide you, but I desire for you yourself to know how to kneel, how to listen, and how to recognize my calling in the deep night of your own life. Therefore, do not see moments of loneliness as proof that I have abandoned you. Many times, it is precisely within those silent spaces that I am training your spiritual ears. You once believed silence meant absence, but within the silence, I am teaching you how to distinguish between the voice of anxiety and the voice of wisdom, between the pressure of the flesh and the leading of the Holy Spirit, between advice that sounds reasonable yet carries no life, and my voice, which may be gentle yet filled with power. Isaiah 30:21 says that your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." And in order to hear that voice, your heart must stop chasing every sound, competing for your attention. I am drawing you out of immature dependence and bringing you into mature closeness, where you know how to seek me before making decisions, how to stop when I restrain you, and how to move forward when I say, "Go." This is not the season for you to sit still in spiritual coldness, comforting yourself with the thought that yesterday's prayers are enough for today's battles. Spiritual memories are precious, but you cannot live forever on yesterday's manna. The Israelites in the wilderness had to gather fresh manna every day if it was kept beyond the appointed time. It spoiled. In the same way, the prayers that helped you stand firm in a previous season cannot replace living fellowship with me today. I desire for you to come to me daily, not like one fulfilling a duty, but like one who knows they need breath from heaven. Watch and pray, as Matthew 26:41 declares. For watchfulness is not only seeing danger, but continually fastening your heart to the true source of strength. I'm calling you to take part in protecting what is holy. But understand this rightly, I am not placing weapons of violence in your hands, nor calling you to fight through anger or pride. The protection I entrust to you is the guarding of purity within your heart, the keeping alive of prayer, and the preserving of truth from being diluted by comforting excuses. When you choose forgiveness instead of nurturing bitterness, you are protecting the house of your soul. When you refuse a small compromise even when no one sees, you are laying another stone upon your spiritual wall. When you intercede for your family, your community, and future generations, you are standing in the gap before me. As Ezekiel 22:30 speaks of my searching for someone to rebuild the wall and stand in the gap. Do you understand? My child, every faithful life can become a watchtower in the unseen world. Do not despise your quiet choices. A prayer in the night can become a covering for someone you love. One moment when you restrain your mouth from bitter words can stop a stream of hurt from spreading. One decision to follow the truth, even while your heart trembles, can open the way for many others to become more courageous. I do not need you to be strong according to the world's standard, always pretending not to fear, not to grow tired, not to feel pain. I need you to be watchful, tender before me, steadfast in the truth, and ready to act when I prompt you. 2 Timothy 1:6 reminds you to fan into flame the gift of God within you. For holy fire was not given so that you would hide it beneath the ashes of delay. That fire was given to light the way, bring warmth, purify, and bear witness to my glory. My beloved child, the days ahead may require of you a depth greater than anything you have known before. But do not be afraid. I am not training you so that I may abandon you on the battlefield. I am not awakening you only to leave you to manage on your own. For everything I ask of you, I also give the grace to step into it. For every responsibility I entrust to you, I also place within you the strength that corresponds to it. Let your roots sink deeply into me now, before the great winds begin to blow. Build your life of prayer not upon passing inspiration, but upon steady faithfulness. Keep the lamp within you burning brightly, like the wise virgins in Matthew 25 who prepared oil for their lamps. For when the necessary hour comes, no one can give you their intimacy with me in your place. Now rise in the maturity I am forming within you. No longer live only as one who hopes to be protected, but become one who knows how to guard what I have entrusted. Do not only ask me to bring you through the trial, ask me to make you faithful within the trial. Do not merely long for light to come to you. Let your life become a place where the light is preserved. I am placing within you a holy seriousness, not to make you heavy, but to make you clearer, cleaner, deeper, and stronger. Hear me. Draw near to me. Obey me in every small thing. For when you mature in me, you will no longer be swept along by the chaos of the age, but will stand like a lamp set in its proper place, quiet yet enduring, humble yet full of power, guarding the holy fire for yourself and for those I will touch through your life. My beloved child, maturity in me is not merely knowing more holy things, hearing more beautiful words, or understanding deeper truths. Maturity is when you allow that truth to descend from your lips and become obedience in each choice. Maturity is when you no longer ask only what I will do for you, but begin to ask, Father, where should I stand? What should I guard? And how should I live so that your heart may be pleased? I am leading you out of the childishness of a faith that seeks only comfort, and into the depth of a faith that knows how to take responsibility. Guard the holy fire, and stand firm even when emotions no longer sustain it. As 1 Corinthians 13:11 reminds you that when one was a child, one spoke like a child and thought like a child. But when maturity came, childish ways were put away. I am also gently removing from you old patterns, hurried reactions, and dependencies that keep you from stepping into the inheritance I have prepared. There are things I prune not because I want to impoverish you, but because I want you to bear more fruit. A branch that has never been pruned may think itself full, yet many excessive parts are quietly draining the life needed for sweet fruit. So it is with you. There are habits that once gave you a sense of safety, but in truth kept you inside a room far too small. There are supports that helped you through one season, but if you cling to them forever, they will prevent you from learning to stand firmly in me. Therefore, when I touch familiar things, Do not quickly call it loss. Remember the words of my Son in John 15:2, that every branch that bears fruit the Father prunes, so that it may bear even more fruit. The pain of maturity is not a sign that I have left you. It is evidence that I am doing a deeper work within you. Do not let fear make you forget whose hand is holding you. Fear often magnifies the storm and diminishes the image of me within your heart. It causes you to focus on what is shaking, while forgetting that the one who created the heavens and the earth is still covering you with love. Doubt works the same way. It does not always arrive as open rebellion, but like a thin mist covering the promise until you can no longer see the path clearly. But my child, I do not change according to your feelings. When your heart is strong, I am there. When your heart trembles, I am still there. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. As Isaiah 41:10 declares, those words were not given merely to hang upon a wall, but for you to hold on to in the moments when your mind wants to run away. There are paths I allow you to walk through, not to exhaust you, but to teach you that true strength does not come from never being weak, but from my power being revealed within your weakness. Paul heard me say, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. As written in 2 Corinthians 12:9. Therefore, do not be ashamed when you find yourself needing me more than ever before. It is precisely where you stop boasting in your own strength that I can place within you a holy endurance. It is precisely where you stop trying to control every broken piece that I can begin arranging them into a design your eyes have never yet imagined. Remember Ruth, the woman who walked through loss, left her familiar land, and followed Naomi into a place that promised nothing easy. She could not yet see the fields of Boaz, could not yet see restoration, could not yet know that her name would one day be written into the lineage leading to the Savior. She only knew how to remain faithful in the small step before her, gathering leftover grain with humility and devotion. Do you see, my child? I can hide a great future inside days that seem ordinary, quiet, and difficult to understand. What Ruth believed was a journey of loss became a pathway of grace. In the same way, there are doors I close, not to bury your hope, but to lead you away from places whose season has ended and into places where I am preparing a new encounter, a new provision, and a new chapter for your life. Therefore, when something slips from your hands, do not immediately conclude that I am taking away what is good. Some empty spaces are places where I am making room for something purer to enter. Some forms of breaking are the way I free you from structures no longer strong enough to carry the new glory I desire to pour out. Some prayers have not been answered in the way you expected because I am answering them in a way that is deeper, wiser, and more enduring. Romans 8:28 says that all things work together for good to those who love me. But you must understand that good, in my eyes, is not always immediate comfort. Often, it is the transformation of the soul, the purification of motives, the enlargement of faith, and the preparation for greater responsibility. I know you have feared seasons of silence. You thought that when I did not answer immediately, it meant I had left. But my beloved child, my silence is not abandonment. There are times when I remain quiet so that your roots may grow deeper, so that you may stop living by outward signs and learn to stand firmly upon my character. When the silversmith refines silver, he does not take his eyes away from the fire. He waits until his own reflection appears clearly upon the purified silver. In the same way, I have never taken my eyes off you in the furnace of testing. I know what temperature is enough. I know the moment to lift you out. And I know what must be purified so that my image may shine more clearly within you. He knows the way that I take when he has tested me. I shall come forth as gold. As Job 23, Días de Clares. One day, you will look back and realize that your tears were never wasted. They did not fall to the ground without meaning, but were gathered by me in my faithfulness. The nights you believed contained only loneliness will become the places where you learn to hear my voice more clearly. The losses you once could not understand will become doors leading you into deeper freedom. The sacrifices you quietly offered will not be overlooked by heaven. Corinthians 15:58 reminds you that your labor in the Lord is never in vain. I see every time you still chose what was right even while your heart was hurting. I see every time you held on to faith when no one else knew. I see every time you continued to love others even while you yourself needed strength and comfort. So rest in me, but do not fall asleep in passivity. Trust my plan, but also walk in the maturity I am forming within you. Allow me to place upon you the dignity of a watchman, not as a burden crushing your shoulders, but as an honor entrusted to a soul that has been refined. You are not lost in the midst of chaos. You are being led through it by me. You are not forgotten in seasons of waiting. You are being prepared in quietness. And when my appointed time arrives, you will understand that the same hand that hung the stars in the heavens is also the hand that held every one of your steps, gathered every broken piece of your life, and from them built a story more radiant than anything you once dared to ask for. My beloved child, lift your eyes with spiritual vision, for what you believe to be the ashes of a painful season is actually the very place where I am bringing forth new life. There have been fires that passed through your life, burning away the things you once held tightly, leaving you feeling as though nothing remained except emptiness and fragments too broken to name. But my child, in my kingdom, ashes are never the end when my hand still rests upon them. I am the one who formed the first man from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life so that he became a living soul. As written in Genesis 2:7, so what within you has become so shattered that I can no longer breathe life into it? What place has become so darkened by fire that my light cannot awaken it again? No, my beloved, what has happened to you does not have the authority to define you while I am speaking a new word over your life. I know there were times when you looked at yourself and saw only the marks of your wounds. You believed that what you lost had taken away the best version of you, that the storms had dimmed the light in your eyes, that the years of striving to survive had stolen the joyful rhythm from your heart. But I see you differently. I do not look only at the places where you broke apart. I see the places where grace is quietly rebuilding. I do not see only tears. I see a river of restoration beginning to flow. I do not see only the silence left behind after a season of burning. I see sacred ground where new life is being planted. As 2 Corinthians 5:17 declares that anyone in Christ is a new creation. The old has passed away and all things have become new. I want you to understand that your renewal is not merely an outer garment patched together again, but the deep work of the Holy Spirit within the very foundation of your soul. There are things I allowed the refining fire to touch, not because I desired to steal your joy, but because I needed to separate from you what could not enter the new season with you. What is false cannot survive the fire. Fragile supports cannot endure the testing of truth. Chains disguised as familiar habits are exposed when my light shines upon them. You grieved because you thought you were losing everything. But in reality, I was preserving what is purest, what belongs to my eternal purpose within you. Zechariah 13:9 says that I will refine my people as silver is refined and test them as gold is tested. Remember this, my child, gold is not destroyed in the fire, it is purified by the fire. Therefore, what remains within you after seasons of testing is not the weakest part of you, but the part I have preserved, purified, and prepared for a new glory. Remember the valley of dry bones that I showed to the prophet Ezekiel. Before him was not a garden full of promise, but a valley filled with bones long dried up, representing what appeared completely without life. Yet I asked him, "Son of man, can these bones live?" And when my word was spoken, bone came together with bone. Sinews and flesh covered them, and breath came from the four winds and entered them, until a vast army stood upon its feet, as recorded in Ezekiel 37. Do you see? My child, I do not require a perfect beginning in order to create restoration. I can begin in valleys of dryness, among heaps of bones without form, in places humanity has already declared hopeless. If I could raise a mighty army from a valley of death, then I can also raise you up from the years you believed had stolen your song. Therefore, look again at your hands, not to remember how they once trembled, but to recognize that I am placing within them a new steadiness. Those hands once wiped away tears in silence, once clung to hope, while everything around you seemed to collapse, once opened and closed because you did not know whether to hold on or let go. But today, I am teaching those hands how to strengthen others, how to rebuild, how to bless, how to hold on to promises instead of fear. Look again at your heart, not to condemn it for once being broken, but to see that I never allowed that brokenness to become your grave. Psalm 51:17 says that the sacrifice pleasing to me is a broken and contrite spirit, and I do not despise a broken heart. From the very places you believed were cracks, my light can shine through. From the very places where you once suffered, mercy can grow deeper. From the very places where you once felt weak, my power can be revealed more clearly. This new season will not only change the circumstances around you, but will renew the way you see, the way you hear, the way you love, and the way you walk. You will no longer view every loss through the eyes of someone abandoned, but through the discernment of one being led by me. You will no longer speak with the voice of old wounds, but with words filtered through grace. You will no longer love with a heart constantly defending itself, but with a heart I have healed, to become gentle without weakness, compassionate without losing truth, strong without becoming hardened. Isaiah 61:3 declares that I give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. This is not merely a beautiful promise written upon a page. It is what I am doing within you, layer by layer, day by day, with the patience of a father who does not abandon the work he has begun. Do not be afraid when you no longer recognize your old self. There are parts of you that must pass away so that the part belonging to me may become more clearly revealed. You are not losing yourself through renewal. You are returning to your true identity within me. What once held you captive will no longer command you as before. The voices that once caused you to bow your head will no longer rule over your mind. The memories that once pulled you back into darkness will become testimonies of how I carried you through. As Romans 6:4 speaks of walking in newness of life, I am teaching you to walk with a different rhythm, slower toward what is empty, quicker toward obedience, quieter before the noise of the world, yet stronger in prayer, more humble before me, yet more steadfast before darkness. Now, my beloved child, rise, not as one trying to prove that healing has already been completed, but as one who knows they are being renewed by me. Let my light within you be seen through a peace no longer dependent upon circumstances, through gratitude not diminished by loss, through joy that darkness can no longer steal away. You are the work of my hands, evidence of my mercy. The story grace has rewritten from pages once burned and scarred. What once appeared as ashes in your eyes, I am turning into fertile ground for a holier life to grow. What once felt like an endless night, I am turning into the sky upon which dawn appears. Walk as a new creation, not arrogant, but radiant, not forgetting what I have delivered you from, yet no longer chained by it, for I have called you out of ruins. Breathe life into what once seemed dead, and the light I placed within you will continue to shine until your life itself becomes a living song of my restoring power. My beloved child, before you take another step, let every chaotic voice around you fade into the background. Let the judgments, expectations, and layered anxieties no longer crowd the deepest places of your heart. Be still within me, for be still and know that I am God. As Psalm 46:10 reminds you, this is not a command to escape life, but an invitation to return to the true source of strength. I see the weariness you have tried to hide behind your smile. I hear the sighs of your heart in moments no one else can see. You have tried to carry too much upon already exhausted shoulders, tried to stand upright while inwardly collapsing, tried to appear normal while your soul desperately needed to be held. But today, I do not come to rebuke you for being weak. I come to lead you out of the place that has been draining you, to remind you that where you are stuck is not where I intended for you to remain. There are things weakening you, not because they are overwhelmingly powerful, but because you have remained near them for too long. A word that once wounded you, a glance that made you question your worth, a fear quietly nurtured over time, a habit that slowly diminished you little by little. All these can become soft yet unbreakable cords, tying you to a narrow room. You believed you were simply enduring, but in truth, there were moments when you allowed those things to teach you to bow your head. You thought you were remaining silent just to keep peace, but sometimes that silence has been stealing the voice I placed within your soul. My child, I did not create you to live beneath the shadow of fear. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. As 2 Timothy 1:7 declares. Therefore, do not call fear your nature. It is only temporary smoke, while the light I placed within you is what is real. I know there have been many times when you sought shelter in the approval of others, longing for a gentle word, some form of recognition, some hand that could soothe the emptiness within. But no one can touch your soul the way I can. People may misunderstand you, measure you by narrow standards, or see only fragments of your story before deciding who you are. But I called you by your true name before the world ever had the chance to name you according to your pain. Isaiah 43:1 declares, I have called you by your name, you are mine. Let those words become an anchor within your heart. You do not belong to the opinions of the crowd. You do not belong to the words that cause you to shrink inward. You do not belong to the cage built by fear and shame. You belong to me, and within me you are allowed to lift up your head again. Remember Bartimaeus, the blind man sitting beside the road in Jericho. Many told him to be quiet when he cried out to my son, because they saw his voice as bothersome, untimely, unworthy of attention. But he cried out all the more loudly, because within him was a faith that the contempt of the crowd could not extinguish. When my son called him forward, he threw aside his cloak, rose to his feet, and came near. My beloved child, there are cloaks in your life that must also be cast aside. The cloak of fear, the cloak of insecurity, the cloak woven from the words others once placed upon you, the cloak of familiarity that has made you settle for sitting beside the road of your own destiny. Bartimaeus could not see the road with his eyes, but he recognized the voice of the one who could heal him. In the same way, even if you cannot yet clearly see your future, recognize my voice calling you out from weakness. Do not fear stepping forward, for stepping forward does not mean you must immediately become strong. Sometimes stepping forward begins simply by refusing to agree with the lie that you are worthless. It may begin with one small prayer after many days of silence. It may begin by no longer returning to relationships, habits, memories, or environments that continually drain the light within you. It may begin by learning to say no to what weighs down your soul, and learning to say yes to what I am placing before you. You do not need to rescue yourself through your own strength. For my Son declared, "Come unto me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." In Matthew 11:28, "The rest I give does not make you passive. It restores you so that you may walk in the right direction with a heart no longer ruled by panic." Perhaps you have remained so long within a cycle that you have forgotten how strong you once were when you leaned upon me. But I have not forgotten. I still see the child who once believed with all their heart, who dared to hope before there were any signs, who longed to live within true light. Your wounds have not erased that identity. Your years of weariness have not destroyed the calling I placed upon you. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free, therefore stand firm. As Galatians pet 1 reminds you, do not return to chains merely because they feel familiar. Not everything familiar is truly home. There are places where you remained so long that you began to think they were your destiny, when in truth, they were only temporary stations of an old season that I am now calling you to leave behind. So, my child, let your heart stop rushing to seek answers from every direction, and instead listen for my voice within the quiet place. When you work, I am still there. When you meet with others, I am still there. When you stand before difficult choices, I am still there. I do not want you to seek me only during moments of prayer and then allow fear to guide every remaining decision afterward. I want my presence to become the very breath of your life, so that every step you take is filtered through peace. Every word is saturated with love, and every refusal of what is wrong becomes a silent act of worship. When you live this way, you will no longer shrink yourself to fit within the limited vision of others, because you will have learned to stand upright beneath my gaze. Today, I am calling you out of what weakens you and into what restores you to life. Leave behind the rooms of fear, the conversations that rob you of peace, the memories you have worshipped as destiny, the habits that lull your soul to sleep. Come nearer to me, not as a stranger searching for temporary shelter, but as a child returning to their father. I will not force you forward too quickly. I will lift you step by step, teaching you to discern which voice is mine and which voice only causes you to become smaller. Then you will see that when you release what has weakened you, your hands will become wide enough to receive the strength I give. When you leave behind familiar darkness, your eyes will slowly grow accustomed to the light. And when you lift your face toward me, you will realize that you were never created to bow before fear. You were created to walk in freedom, in dignity, and in my love that will never leave you. My beloved child, turn your face toward the light and stop clinging to the things that offer only temporary comfort. I know there are habits that have remained beside you so long that you mistook them for shelter. I know there are sorrows you have grown accustomed to carrying, memories you continue to preserve, voices you have learned to listen to, even while they slowly diminish your soul. But my child, not everything familiar is something I have given you. There are old garments you keep wearing because you fear the cold. Yet those very garments hide the light I long to clothe you with. There are places you call safe that are in truth only rooms of woundedness decorated with endurance. Today I do not call you away from these things with condemnation, but with love. I do not stand before you pointing at the dust upon the road you have walked. I come to cleanse you, to bind your wounds, and to lead you out of the land that has weakened you for too long. As Psalm 27:1 says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" When you turn back toward me, Darkness no longer has the authority to define your vision. Do not wait until you feel strong enough before drawing near to me, for I myself am the strength your soul is searching for. Do not say that you must be healed before entering my presence, because I am the one who heals you. Do not believe you must understand everything before you can trust, because faith often begins with a trembling step toward the light. You have allowed pain to cloud your discernment, and the words others spoke over you to become the measure of your worth. But I say to you, no one has the authority to name you more deeply than the one who created you. Isaiah 43:1 declares, I have called you by your name, you are mine. You do not belong to the judgments of the crowd, nor to the looks that cause you to shrink inward, nor to past failures, nor to hidden shame. You belong to me, and my word over your life stands firmer than every voice in this world. There were times when you unknowingly handed the control of your heart over to people who never truly understood the depth of your story. One criticism caused you to become silent. One misunderstanding made you doubt yourself. One moment of abandonment taught you to live cautiously, as though love itself were dangerous, as though hope always came with a painful cost. But my child, the opinions of people are like dust carried by the wind, while my word is an unshakable rock. Galatians 1:10 reminds you that you were not called to seek the approval of man above the pleasure of God. This does not mean living harshly or despising others, but rather refusing to allow your soul to become chained to their fragile approval. When you seek my gaze before every other gaze, you will learn to love yourself through the mercy, truth, and dignity I have placed within you. Remember Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan. He once lived in Lodabar, a place that speaks of lack and being forgotten, carrying within himself crippled feet and an identity easily seen as the remnant of a fallen kingdom. He may have grown used to believing he belonged only in hidden places, living beneath the shadow of loss and fear. But King David called him out, not to punish him, but to restore him. Mephibosheth was invited to eat at the king's table like a son of the royal house. Do you see? My child, I do the same with you. I call you out of your own Lodabar, out of the land where you thought you were only wounds, only lack, only what was incomplete. I do not see you as one excluded from the banquet. I see you as a child invited back to a place of honor. The things that once made you limp cannot stop me from placing you where grace has already prepared a seat. Therefore, allow me to restore within you the purity that pain has covered. Let me breathe life into the places you thought had died, into the joy you once lost, into the courage you once buried, into the peace you once believed would never return. The strength I give is not always loud like thunder. Often it is quiet like roots sinking deep into the soil, unseen, yet not easily uprooted. It makes you gentle without making you weak, calm without making you passive, humble without making you despise yourself. When the Holy Spirit restores you, you will find that you no longer react from old wounds, but respond from a place that has been healed. You will no longer try to prove your worth through exhaustion, but will learn to rest in the truth that you were loved before you ever accomplished anything. You were not born to live in the cage of fear. I created you to spread your wings in the freedom of a soul that knows it has been chosen. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. As 2 Coríntios 3:17 declares, that freedom is not doing whatever the flesh desires, but no longer being ruled by fear, shame, the past, or the eyes of others. When you dare to rise, even while your hands are trembling. When you dare to speak the truth, even while your voice is small. When you dare to leave the place that weakens you, even while your heart still clings to what is familiar. You will feel my hand holding yours. True strength is not the absence of fear. True strength is feeling fear and still choosing to believe that I am beside you. I do not condemn you for the times you have fallen. I know every wound carries a story. Every step backward has a pain behind it. And every tear carries something you have not yet been able to put into words. But do not let an old story become a new prison. My grace still flows through every crack, not to hide the truth, but to heal it with love. Romans 8:38-39 reminds you that nothing can separate you from my love in Christ. So, if my love has not left you, why would you allow fear to convince you that there is no way home? Look to me, the light that never goes out, the spring that never runs dry. Release from your hands the things that have exhausted you, even if they once helped you through a season. Leave behind the voices that make you forget who you are, the habits that dim your soul, the places where you must shrink yourself in order to be accepted. I am calling you into a life wider, cleaner, and brighter. When you turn your face toward me, what is unclear will slowly become clear. When you allow me to touch the wound, the most painful place will begin to close. When you allow me to call you by name, every false name will fall away like ash. Come, my beloved child, my light is not waiting to condemn you, but to embrace you, lift you up, and lead you into the freedom I prepared for you long ago. My beloved child, let your heart become quiet before me, for there is a peace the world cannot give and cannot take away. The world teaches you to hold tightly to everything, to control every outcome, to please every gaze, to prove yourself before every doubtful word, and only then believe you can be at rest. But I teach you another way. Surrender into my hands, and you will be free. True peace does not come when every outward storm has ceased, but when you dare to say honestly, Father, I need you. In that very moment, the layers of pretending to be strong begin to fall away, and your soul no longer has to strain before me. You do not need to hide the storm within, for I am the one who can speak to the raging sea. Peace, be still, as my son did in Mark 4:39. If the waves of the sea had to obey my voice, then the chaos within your heart is not beyond my power. I know you have walked through seasons where the light within you seemed buried beneath worry, exhaustion, and the words of others that you carried far too deeply in your heart. There were moments when you believed your radiance had been lost, that your weakest days had made you unworthy of love, restoration, or the dignity to move forward again. But my child, the light I placed within you has never been extinguished. It may have been covered by the dust of the road, hidden beneath tears, dimmed by fear, yet it still belongs to me. As John 1:5 declares, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Do not mistake a dark season for the power to erase what is eternal. What I have ignited within you is not as fragile as human judgment, nor is it powerless before your moments of stumbling. Remember that my light is not like the light the world offers you. The world's light often shines upon you only when you succeed, when you are praised, when you appear strong, when you fulfill the expectations of others. But my light enters even the places you think no one could ever love, the places where you hide your fears, where you are ashamed of your mistakes, where you silently condemn yourself, where you believe that if anyone truly saw everything, they would walk away. I do not shine into your heart to humiliate you. I shine to heal you. I do not reveal the wound in order to condemn you. I reveal it so you may know where grace longs to touch you. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted, as Psalm 34:18 says. And so your brokenness does not drive me away, it draws my mercy closer. There is a fire I have placed within you, not the fire of pride or fleshly resistance, but the holy fire of life, courage, and identity that belongs to me. People may doubt you, criticize you, misunderstand you, or see only the unfinished parts of your story, but their words do not have the authority to define the soul I have called by name. Isaiah 43:1 declares, I have called you by your name, you are mine. You belong to me before you belong to any human opinion. You carried the mark of heaven before the world ever tried to place labels of fear upon you. Therefore, do not live as though your worth must be voted on by the crowd. Lift up your head, not because you have never been weak, but because the one who loves you has never changed. Remember the 3 young men in the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into the fiery furnace because they refused to bow before the golden image. Yet the fire meant to destroy them became the place where my presence was revealed. The king looked into the furnace in astonishment, for he saw not 3 men, but a 4th walking beside them in the flames. When they came out, the fire had no power over their bodies, their hair was not singed, their garments were not burned, and even the smell of smoke did not cling to them. My beloved child, there have been fires in your own life that frightened you as well. You thought they would end you, but I used them to show you that you never walk through trials alone. Sometimes I do not prevent the furnace from appearing, but I step into the fire with you, so that what should have consumed you instead becomes proof that I am near. Therefore, whenever you are wounded, do not allow the wound to teach you to bow your head. Whenever you feel like collapsing, do not conclude that your life is over. Let the fire I placed within you burn again through faith, through prayer, through returning to my word instead of returning to accusation. You were not created to carry the identity of a victim forever. I called you to become a bearer of light. That does not mean you will never feel pain, but it means pain no longer rules over you. It does not mean you will never feel fear, but it means fear no longer sits upon the throne of your heart. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and self-control. As 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds you, and I desire for you to walk in that spirit. When you turn back toward me, you will begin to see your weakness through a different light. It is no longer a sentence against you, no longer proof that you were abandoned, but a doorway through which my power may enter. Paul heard me say, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. As written in 2 Corinthians 12:9. Do you see? My child, I do not need you to hide your trembling in order to prove your faith. I want you to place that trembling into my hands, so I may transform it into endurance. I do not need you to pretend you were never broken. I want you to allow me to shine through those very cracks, so others may see that my mercy can accomplish what human strength never could. Today, let me warm every cold room within your heart. Let me enter the memories you have locked away, not with force, but with patient love. Let me wipe away the dust of the years you spent doubting yourself, and return to you the eyes to see yourself as I see you. You were not born to shrink before darkness. You were born to reflect my glory. You were not born to bow beneath words of criticism. You were born to stand in the dignity of a beloved child. You do not need the world's artificial light in order to become valuable, because I placed that value within you long before you were formed. So walk in my peace, a peace that is not loud yet deeply steadfast, not boastful yet strong enough to calm the raging sea within your heart. Each time you feel weak, remember that I am your strength. Each time darkness tries to cloud your vision, turn your face again toward the light that never fades. Let every prayer you whisper, no matter how small, become a doorway open for grace. I am within you, and my light within you will not be overcome by darkness. Lift up your head, My beloved child, keep walking forward. Shine not to prove yourself to the world, but to bear witness that my love is stronger than every long night you have endured. My beloved child, do not convince yourself that life is now nothing more than fragments to be gathered together day after day just to survive. Do not build a home among the ruins of what once wounded you and call that your destiny. I did not create you to live on the leftovers of the past, nor did I call you to walk as a soul, merely stitching together scraps of joy from what was lost. In my eyes, you are not a broken vessel, forgotten in some dark corner. You are a masterpiece. My hands are still shaping, still restoring, still breathing life into where all seemed dry and lifeless. As I spoke through Isaiah 43:18-19, do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Understand this. My child, I do not deny what you have lived through, but neither will I allow it to rule the remainder of your journey. The old may leave marks, but it does not have the authority to write your ending. There are cracks within your heart that have existed so long you have grown accustomed to them. You became used to telling yourself that this was enough, that as long as you were not hurt any further, you could endure, that a life half healed and half broken could still be called peace. But my child, my peace is not silent endurance. My healing is not a thin cloth laid over a deep wound. I desire to go to the very root, to the places you locked away because you feared feeling again, to the places where you believed that if they were opened, you would completely fall apart. I do not come to shatter you further. I come to gather you back together. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. As Psalm 51:10 says, let that become your prayer today, not merely asking me to ease the pain slightly, but asking me to renew the entire wellspring within you. Remember what I showed the prophet Jeremiah at the potter's house. The vessel being formed in the potter's hands became marred. Yet the potter did not throw it away as useless. Instead, he reshaped the same clay into another vessel according to his design. My beloved child, that story is not only about clay, it is about my mercy. When the old form can no longer contain what I desire to pour into you, I do not discard you. I place you back into my hands. I do not see your broken shape as a reason to leave you behind, but as an invitation to remake you more deeply. Jeremiah 18:6 reminds you that you are in my hands like clay in the hands of the potter. Therefore, do not fear when I touch the parts still unfinished and disordered. My hands may press, turn, soften, and reshape you, but every movement is leading towards something more beautiful, more steadfast, and more capable of carrying greater grace. Many times, you believed your mistakes defined you, that failure had dimmed my calling upon your life, that your weakest seasons made you unworthy to stand in the light. But my light is not like the lights of this world, which shine only upon the successful and turn away from the weary. My light enters valleys, closed rooms, trembling hearts, so that you may realize you are still loved even before you are fully healed. My Son declared in John 8:12, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. That light not only illuminates the road ahead, but restores to you the clear eyes needed to see yourself according to truth. You are not your sin, not your wounds, not the words others once spoke over you. You are the child I have called by name. Therefore, step out from the land of woundedness where you have remained too long. Not every familiar place is truly home, and not everything you cling to is protecting you. There are memories you have held onto as proof that you must always remain guarded, but they have become chains. There are shames you believed would keep you humble, yet in truth, They have only caused you to hide from me. There are broken fragments you refuse to release because they are the last remnants of a story once precious to you. But I speak to you with kindness. Place them into my hands. I do not ask you to pretend you were never hurt. I only invite you to stop allowing pain to rule the inner house of your soul. Isaiah 61:3 says that I give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Do you see? My child, I do not merely remove the ashes, I replace them with beauty. When my light returns within you, it will not only drive away the darkness, but also restore your vision for the future. You will begin to understand that what once seemed to collapse may become a new foundation. What once seemed like loss may become space for grace. And what once appeared to be the end may only be the place where I begin a new creation. As 2 Coríntios 5:17 declares, anyone who is in Christ is a new creation. The old has passed away, and all things have become new. This is not a distant promise meant only for others. It is the word I am placing before you now. You do not need to continue living as someone made only of broken fragments. I can renew the way you love, the way you hope, the way you pray, and the way you walk through the places that once filled you with fear. Return to me, my beloved child, not because I stand in anger waiting for you to pay a price, but because my arms are open wide, ready to lead you out of the shadows. You were never truly lost from my sight. There were only moments when you forgot the way home because the fog of pain obscured the path before you. But I am the Father who does not change. My love does not fade when you grow weary, does not withdraw when you fall, and does not become distant when you lose your way. Let my light pierce through the heavy clouds within your heart. Let me wipe away your shame, soften what has become hardened, mend what has been torn apart, and place within you a new rhythm of life. Then you will see that brokenness is not your final inheritance. Your inheritance is grace. Your true name is beloved, and the future I am writing for you still shines with hope, because my hand has never left your life.